morning. I swear a lot.
It is 22 minutes to 2 in the PM, and you're watching The Foreman. I am your host, Foreman, and I haven't done one of these in a while. Same old, same diff. I think I say this every single Foreman Talks, and I haven't done one in a while, but it's true. I intend to do more, but I'm busy, and, you know, maintaining a standard upload schedule such as mine takes a lot of time, and in attempts to do extra stuff usually fall by the wayside. Honestly, the biggest problem is editing, like the time it takes to edit shit. If I could streamline that or quicken it somehow, I could pop out a lot more stuff, but I do believe in some level of attention to detail when making long-form content to try and make sure the videos feel shorter than they really are, and that requires a lot of editing and a lot of cutting and a lot of snipping. But funnily enough, that's not the topic of discussion for today. For you see, I play Helldivers. I talk about it in a fair few videos, actually. I make references and stuff, but I play Helldivers 2. Specifically, I play Helldivers 2, but I'm going to say Helldivers instead of specifying Helldivers 2 because that will get tiresome. But I play Helldivers. I played it since launch earlier this year. At time of recording, let me actually get some numbers up so that we can get an idea of where we all stand, you know, and how much you should listen to me versus how much you can safely ignore if you've put more hours into it than I have. I've put 361 hours into the game, and I'm roughly level 78, last I remember, at time of recording, I think, roughly. So I'm definitely not like a diehard, and I'm definitely not one of the top players, and I'm definitely not one of the best, but I've been playing for quite a while. I'm quite experienced. I fought on Malevolon Creek, I fought on Mantis, I fought on Dropnir back when no one was fighting the bots, so I went over there and fought the bots. I now fight bugs and bots because people generally swap between those war fronts more now. Bots get a bit more support, but we do all stamp on the bugs whenever we can. But yeah, I've been playing a lot, and I know recently, what with the Escalation of Freedom update, there's been a lot of complaints. I think there's like a mutiny going on or something where people are sort of letting the bots go to straight to Super F to see what happens, and it's all stemmed from guns being nerfed. Now, I've had a couple conversations with people about this, and I was initially debating to perhaps make this video, you know, me offering my opinions on such things, but I didn't really want to talk about it at length. It's not really a thing I do, and I'm not really big on like, oh, I know everything about the balance of this game and how it all works. I know my stuff that I know, but I'm far from professional. But I'll summarize my opinion there briefly by saying that, yeah, some guns may have been nerfed a bit much, but I think people are blowing it way out of proportion because most of, if not all, the guns still work just fine. Like, if you know how to use the gun and you hit the right points on the right targets, you can make any gun work, so I think people are throwing tantrums a bit too hard, but that's their business. I'm just out over here playing the game and enjoying it anyway. But yeah, I didn't really have a specific idea for what I wanted to talk about in Helldivers. I just wanted to talk Helldivers because I play it a lot. I don't think I've uninstalled the game since I got it back in like April or something. I was playing at launch back when the servers were too small to support all the people in there now, or all the people that were in there, and now obviously the concurrent active players is a lot smaller because, you know, the initial hype died down and all that. But frankly, there are still a lot of people playing, and it's still a really good time, and Arrowhead are still adding new shit all the time. Literally just had the Escalation of Freedom update, for better or worse. That was new stuff, new bugs, new bots, good times. The fucking, is it Freedom's Flame War Bond? I don't even remember what it's called, I've got it. But yeah, that had some cool stuff in it, including my favorite armor set, right? Is it called Firestarter? I can't remember. It's the light fire-resistant armor that comes to that war bond, combined with the light helmet from the Predator war bond. You know, the one where we had all of the throwing knives and stuff, and the Predator armor from Predator, and it looks fucking dope. I'm so happy with my character right now. I've got the drip going, and it feels great. I'm super happy with it. But I've been playing a lot more with my friends Luke and Dan recently, and it's been a really good time because they're both much more casual players of it. They haven't played nearly as much, but they're both still good. They're good players, and I've seen them getting better and better, and that's been super cool, playing with them and watching them grow, as it were. We've hit some of the harder stuff, like me and Luke had a couple goes at Super Helldive difficulty, the new difficulty that came with the update, difficulty level 10, and we almost finished an operation, just the two of us, nearly completed an entire operation. Bearing in mind, Luke's only like level 25. He hasn't even unlocked all of the stratagems yet, and he was there hanging tough in Super Helldive difficulty. So dude's doing well. He's doing alright. And we nearly managed to beat that despite all of the nerfed guns that are totally ineffective. We did alright, and it was very fun, and even though we failed that operation, I enjoyed it very much. And I guess I've just been enjoying Helldivers a lot recently. I'm not sure what specifically has caused me to enjoy it so much, but it's simultaneously been a case of my ability to play the game has gotten to a point where I move and act as fast as my brain can think it up. You know, I react as quickly as my brain reacts to situations. My fingers keep up, as it were. I see an enemy and I immediately am like, right, switch to this gun, hit it here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but at the very least I've got the right actions down and reactions, and I know what I'm doing. I've got my preferred weapon sets, like, you know, for bugs I use Punisher shotgun, Senator revolver, and often I would use the autocannon, but honestly, I found recently Stalwart, even at high difficulties, works a treat on bugs. Because you use your stratagems to make up for your lack of armor, and those new Impaler dudes, I can't remember what they're called, but the guys who made the tentacles come out of the ground, well, when they crouch and set up and start putting the tentacles into the ground, their faceplate becomes vulnerable, and that face can be damaged by any weapon in the game. It has 0 armor. Anything can penetrate that, so if you unload a Stalwart or a machine gun directly into that thing's face, it'll drop pretty fucking quick. And if you've got teammates with you, either they're the ones getting slapped by the tentacles, so it's very funny, or you're getting slapped by the tentacles and one of your mates can kill it, so it works out quite well. It's a dangerous thing that can't be ignored. You absolutely cannot ignore that fucker, but he can be dealt with, and you don't even need anti-armor to take care of him. Sport charges are a fucking pain in the ass. Funny, I have to admit, quite funny, but a pain in the ass nevertheless, because you kill one, and then you look to your left, and you're like, oh, there were like 2 Bile Titans here the whole time, I didn't fucking notice. Charges are an interesting deal in this game, because like, this is something I feel like I can talk about, because like I said, I feel like a lot of the nerfs that have happened, not all of them needed to happen, but I feel like they aren't as bad as people say. But I will say that I do feel like the flamethrower being an anti-charger weapon was a good niche for it. Before the nerf. You see, prior to the nerf, you could fire a flamethrower on a charger and it would just hurt it. Like, you could spray it in the face and it would hurt it. And typically, you could kill a charger with 1 tank of flamer fuel, you know, if you were hitting it, as it were. They recently changed it so that the flames won't go through the armor plating, which means in order to hurt a charger with the flamer, you have to shoot it in the back. I understand the desire to emphasize that, like, look, if you're not using anti-armor, then you need to hit it in the back. That's the idea. But the flamethrower, and I should point out that even post-nerf, I love the flamethrower. I think it's a great weapon to use. It's an absolute great time, tons of fun. But I don't think it was such a bad thing for the flamethrower to have a niche as the anti-charger weapon. Because the flamethrower is already kind of a niche weapon. You can't use it against the bots. I mean, you can. You can make anything work if you use it correctly, obviously, but the flamethrower is not advised for fighting the bots because it is a short-ranged weapon which requires sustained fire against a ranged opponent, a primarily ranged opponent. And the flames don't typically stop enemies, so, you know, it's good perhaps for dealing with those bots with the twin blades. Not so good at dealing with, say, berserkers, because berserkers will run forward and hit you. They've got a decent range on them because they've got chainsaws on the end of their arms. Overall, flamethrower, not great for bots, despite the fact, you know, contrary to common perception, fire does work against bots. If you've got a flame grenade will hurt bots. It absolutely deals with them. I use fire impact grenades constantly because I like the idea of having a glorified Molotov cocktail. But yeah, so flamethrower is not great against bots. I wouldn't recommend using it against them, so that already kind of cuts away its niche. It is purely an anti-bug weapon. Now, we go further into this. The flamethrower is also not good for dealing with nursing spewers, because nursing spewers will often survive long enough to breathe spew, whatever the fuck it is, goop, bile. They'll spew bile at you, which will kill you very quickly. It is especially not good against acid spewers for the exact same reason. Acid spewers are more durable, and I think acid does more damage. The flamethrower is okay against hunters, but hunters can get around you, and you're often better off using something like a shotgun or a pistol to take care of them, the flamethrower not really being the weapon of choice. Stalkers are also not great for the flamethrower, because if the stalker is that close and you don't have a means to instantly kill it or stagger it, you're going to be flying across the map because it will kick the fuck out of you. So, it's not very good at dealing with stalkers. It can deal with the flying fuckers, but I don't know, it's never my first instinct to switch to it. Maybe I should try that sometime. I don't know if the Flamer can work against Bile Titans because I just haven't been able to fire one on it long enough to see if it actually does any damage, because then the Bile Titan's foot comes down and kills you. So the Flamer, we can say, the Flamethrower, the support weapon specifically, is not great against the Bile Titan. Now, obviously, it's great at dealing with little scavengers and, you know, the standard warrior bugs, and even like Brood Commanders and Hive Guard, good at dealing with them too. So yeah, you can actually clear quite a lot of the bug hordes with the Flamer, but if there's one Nursing Spewer or a couple Hunters or a Stalker, the Flamethrower becomes useless because you just don't have the opportunity to use it. And this was all, I should say, prior to the nerf. It could also deal with the charges. Now, post-nerf, it can't deal with charges. Its ability to semi-easily deal with charges kind of felt like the one biggest string to the Flamethrower's bow. And without that, honestly, I still love using the Flamethrower, and I use it frequently and to great effect against the bugs, but it does feel like kind of a shame to have that one special feature that the Flamethrower had kind of taken away. Once again, not a huge deal by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a bit of a downer. Of course, if you shoot a charger in the face with a recoilless rifle, it's going down, but the problem, of course, is that I wouldn't necessarily recommend bringing a recoilless rifle to a bug mission because it is very specifically useful against, like, chargers, Bile Titans, maybe the Impalers, and that's it. So you basically got a heavy weapon and a backpack for some very specific opponents, which will turn up, but many more of other opponents will turn up. Now, of course, you would use your primary and your secondary to make up for hordes, but it might be better to just have, you know, a stalwart and then use your stratagems to deal with those things, so recoilless rifle isn't entirely necessary. This is the thing, though, it's like, when it comes to playing in Helldivers, it's like, I've played a lot solo. I play the game solo a lot. In fact, I primarily play the game solo because I enjoy it. I like playing solo. Don't get me wrong, I love playing with Luke and Dan, and in fact, given the option, I will absolutely choose playing with them over playing with by myself. Not playing with myself, it carries a different connotation, but playing with them, I would choose to do that first and foremost. But I play a lot on my own because I enjoy it, and it gives me some time to unwind, and I can try out weapons and see what I can do, see what I can get away with. Sometimes I do combat drops into the center of, like, bot bases on, like, challenging difficulty, so it's not too high, but you know, even on the lowest difficulty, like, a couple shots will kill you. So doing a combat drop where you drop from the pod directly into an enemy base carries a lot of risk regardless what difficulty you're playing on, but that's kind of fun to do. You bring, like, I don't know, shotgun or an SMG or something, and you just pop up out of the ground and start gunning them down. Reacting. Lots of reaction gameplay. Very enjoyable. Sometimes when playing on my own, I'll do, like, sort of survivalist sniper builds, you know, where I'll have a supply pack on my back, an anti-material rifle, and I'll go around to the bases just picking things off and calling in, like, precision strikes to destroy fabricators and stuff, and doing it that way. Just earlier today, in fact, I finally decided to properly try out the ballistic shield. Running that with an not an RPG, with an SMG. Those are two very different things. SMG, grenade pistol, and then a heavy machine gun slung on my back in heavy armor. So I was a walking, talking tank with heavy weaponry. And tried it for a bit, and I honestly thought, by the end of it, I thought to myself, like, this would actually just be way better if I had light armor. I so much prefer light armor to heavy armor. Like, don't get me wrong. Heavy armor is very useful in its way. Like, its ability to reduce damage is good. But I just find the reduction of speed and stamina to be agonizing, especially since I play light armor all the time. So going from light to heavy is agonizing. Absolutely agonizing. But the walking turtle build with ballistic shield is a really good build, actually. I had a lot of fun with it, being able to just rush a base, because I often play with, like, long-range weapons. When I fight bots, I'm usually using the counter-sniper diligence. So instead of picking off the turret users and slowly advancing, I would just, on my way in, gun down the turret users and just advance inside the base, shield up, fucking Tetsudo Roman phalanx, not Roman phalanx, but Roman Tetsudo style, you know, just advancing and not firing because they didn't have guns, they had javelins. But if I had a javelin, I'd use one. I would use it. If the game gave me a javelin, I'd use it. I'd absolutely use it. That'd be a ton of fun. We have throwing knives. Close enough. That could be a cool weapon for a future update, actually, right? You know, because you got your throwing weapons, and obviously there's knives and grenades and stuff. Why not an explosive javelin? Small explosion, but high damage, so it's really only suitable for dealing with one target, and it's basically a sticky. It just goes boom, right? That could be pretty cool. I'd like that. Me and Luke keep going on and on about how much we want dual pistols. Like, I don't care if it sucks, I just want dual pistols. Just give me dual pistols. I just want some dual pistols. Dual revolvers, dual pistols, dual SMGs. You can do like you do in most games where, like, if you have dual weapons, yeah, obviously higher magazine capacity, more sustained fire, but reload times are longer because you're reloading 2 guns. And then it's a tactical option to be like, well, if you bring 1 pistol instead of 2, you know, it's a little more versatile and you can reload it quicker. It makes sense. I'd like that. That'd be a lot of fun. I think one of my favorite things that I do in Helldivers now, when I've decided I've ceased fucking around, is calling in a mech. A lot of people seem to have massive big complaints about the mechs, but I find it hard to fathom because the mechs are absolute battle tide turners. Like, if I call in the Emancipator, I can clear, like, almost any encounter, really. Like, you gotta be careful about it, obviously. If you call the Emancipator, well, if you call a mech, you know, it's the same for the Patriot as well. If you call a mech into the center of a heated combat zone with tons of anti-armor, yeah, it's gonna get blown up. Obviously, it's gonna get blown up. That's what happens. The enemies have like, if you're fighting bots, the enemies have missiles. That's what happens. If you go up against the bugs and you drop the mech into the center of a combat zone, well, a charge is going to run it over. Everything about mech combat, I think I'm actually decent with the mech because I really like stuff like Mech Warrior, Battletech, and that kind of stuff, because those kinds of mechs are very similar to the exosuits in Helldivers in that they are slow and clunky. And that's how they should be. That is, like, kind of what a realistic-esque, like, military mech should be. It doesn't have jets and a laser sword and a whiny teenage protagonist in the cockpit with funny hair. It's slow and clunky. It's a military machine. It's like a tank. It's a walking tank. Like the old types, you know, and they're fairly nippy, but not that fast. And they look durable, and sure, small arms fire will struggle to get through, but if you hit a tank with a rocket launcher, it's, if not destroyed, probably crippled. That's what happens. And the same applies to the mechs as well. There are weapons designed to take them out, and the bots have them. That's why you have to prioritize targets. It does interest me to hear about this stuff sometimes, because, like, you know, people fight bugs and be like, you know, they get me, like the hunters will jump and get me, and I'm like, well, kill the hunters first then. Prioritize targets. Don't shoot the scavengers. They're practically fucking worthless. Save them for later. Deal with the hunters, deal with the stalkers, deal with the spewers, deal with the charger, deal with the bile titan. Prioritize targets. It's something I've seen a lot of people struggle with, and it's something that Luke and Dan don't struggle with per se, but it is a lesson I've tried to, like, impress upon them, where I'm like, look, see what's in front of you. Look at the enemies in front of you and take note of the most dangerous ones. Look at them. What can kill you first and what can kill you quickest? We'll take a bot example. Assault Devastators, you know those dudes with the shields and the machine guns? Or, you know, laser machine guns? They are a high priority target because they will kill you dead in, like, seconds. That machine gun tears through, like, any armor. I think you pretty much need a ballistic shield in order to survive that effectively. You have to kill that first. If you're in a mech, then Devastators with missiles are a priority because they shoot 3 missiles and that will tear through your mech because it's anti-armor. That's what it's made for. Tanks. You get shredder tanks or anti-infantry. If you're on foot, that thing needs to go. You have to kill it or it's going to kill you. It is that simple. Everything on the battlefield is a potential threat, obviously. Like, even standard automaton infantry can take you down if you're not careful, but they are not a priority. Warrior bugs, you know, the standard grey ones who you blow their head off, they survive for like a second and then die. They are dangerous. They can rinse your health bar in seconds, but they are not a priority target. A brood commander is a priority target. A charger is a priority target. And like I said before, hunters are priority targets. I think in many cases, and I can only speak from my own assumptions, right? So I could be way off the mark, and that's absolutely fine. This is literally just a space where I talk crap. But I think a lot of people come into these encounters thinking, enemies there, run toward enemy and shoot, and then wonder why things don't go well. When they don't realize that their arsenal is a collection of weapons and support abilities and stuff that are effective in different situations and circumstances, and you need to be able to either approach the enemy in such a way and that you can make use of those, or if you've been attacked, back off and find a position where you can use that more effectively. It's like I was talking about before, attacking bases with the ballistic shield. That weapon is great for rushing entrenched automaton positions. You still got to be careful. but it's great for doing that. But the Diligence Counter Sniper, my favorite gun for bots, is not suited to that. I can rush bases with the counter diligence. I've actually had some really cool moments of like leaping a fence into a bot base. The bots turn around, I'm just bap, 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 like drop 5 of them with precision shots from the rifle, move forward, guy around the corner, pull revolver, blow his head off. You have fantastic action movie moments which feel great. But would I recommend assaulting bases, leaping the fence and going in with a marksman rifle? No. And if I got killed in those moments, and I have been killed in those moments incidentally, I would not be, / I wasn't remotely surprised. I was like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was silly. That was very silly. But I did it for fun, because I was I felt the adrenaline. I felt the desire for freedom. I need to save democracy, and the only way I could do it is by doing CQC with a fucking marksman rifle. But yeah, I think it's something that people kind of struggle with sometimes, is that Helldivers has a lot more tactics and strategy in it than they might expect. Now, to some of you, what I'm saying, I'll be saying this and you'll be like, well, yeah, of course it does. Like, it's obvious to you because that's how you've been playing it. Because you got it. You understood the moment that there was something called a walking bombardment, where it's like, well, why wouldn't I just use a normal bombardment instead of a bombardment that moves forward? And it's because that is useful for specific tactical situations. Now, I don't personally recommend walking bombardment. I don't use it myself, but I recognize its value, in what it does. And the guns are much the same way. You can use the anti-material rifle close range. In fact, I've pulled off a couple no-scopes in my time that felt great, but I wouldn't recommend it. That thing is used to pick enemies off at distance. By the same token, you can hit far-away targets with the shotgun or SMG, and you can kill with that, and you can even do it reliably in some cases, but overall, I wouldn't recommend it because that's just not what it's made for. They're close-quarters weapon. You have to use a gun and then decide whether or not you like it, right? Like, I started using the Punisher, and I'm like, I love the Punisher. I want to use this all the time against the bugs. Great time. After using it, you need to then use it and understand what it can and can't do. Punisher is great for dealing with 90% of like smaller bugs, scavengers, hunters, warriors, brood commanders. It takes a lot of shots, but it staggers them. Stalkers, 3 shots to the head will kill a stalker with the shotgun, and the shotgun staggers them. If you see a stalker coming and you have the Punisher, they're laughable. You can deal with stalkers. The problem obviously being is that you don't always see a stalker coming, and that's how they get you. So you have to be careful. But you can deal with stalkers very reliably with the Punisher shotgun. But by the same token, the shotgun obviously doesn't have armor piercing, so when you're up against armor, it's not going to do a lot. Against chargers, yeah, you can get around them and shoot them in the back, but I find the Punisher doesn't really do enough damage quickly enough to deal with a charger quickly. I'm often left dancing with them for quite a while. So I understand that limitation to the Punisher, and that's why I don't, unless I have no other real choice, it's why I don't tend to use the Punisher to deal with charges. I'll use stratagem, or I'll use a support weapon like the Stoller or an autocannon, like to hit them in the back because they do more damage quickly against unarmored targets, so that's how you get rid of them. Bile Titan, say your prayers. The shotgun does nothing to a Bile Titan unless you've managed to hit it with like a rail cannon strike or a precision strike or something, and you've managed to blow off the armor, and it's that orange fleshy bit that's like, visible now. That is completely unarmored. You can shoot with anything and do damage. That is another way to deal with that. That's something you can do. I remember, much to me and Dan's despair and then later joy, Luke took to the incendiary mines very early in his revitalized career, because he started playing again fairly recently. He took to them quite quickly, and it was scary to begin with, but then Luke got the hang of it. He was like, oh yeah, no, I think I know how I can put these to good use. And before you knew it, he was scoring tons of kills with the incendiary mines. And those things damage the bigger targets as well. Don't necessarily kill them, but they do work down larger targets. So mines are great. It does seem like with a lot of the patches in regards to buffs, nerfs, AI updates and stuff, sentries are starting to be phased out a bit, because at higher difficulties there are many enemies that can just destroy a sentry. Like chargers will ignore you to go for a sentry. Is that bullshit? Kinda. It's a bug. It shouldn't know better, but it will ignore you to hit a sentry, 100%. So sentries are not reliable against chargers. Bile Titans will also target sentries, but if you can get the sentry deployed far enough away, because the Bile Titan is so fucking big, the autocannon sentry can just lay into it, and if you've got a missile one, even better. But by the same token, those sentries are great against Scout Striders. Not Scout Striders, although they are, Factory Striders. They are great against Factory Striders if you can set them up in the right position. But that's the thing as well. People say, oh, nothing works, and I'm like, plenty of things work, you just need to use them right. If you throw a sentry right next to a charger, that sentry's not gonna have enough time to do anything. You gotta put it in the right place. Positioning is everything. Positioning is everything for you as well. It's why extraction is often on a hill, because it is a good defensive position for you. Sometimes extraction is not, because some maps just make, that harder to vary it up and add challenge and stuff. It's why bot bases are usually on the high ground, or at least important ones are, with like detector towers and signal jammers and stuff like that will often be on a hill, because that's a better defensive position for them, and it's a challenge for you, having to manage an uphill assault, which is difficult. Positioning is important. Where you put things is important. How you use them is important. And this is all why I love the fucking game, because if I could beat every single fucking difficulty with the Stalwart, the Liberator, and the Peacemaker, I'd be kind of bored. But I have to vary things up, and not every day, but like every week I'm discovering something new where I'm like, oh, actually, I could use this weapon this way, and that's really effective. I can work with that. Oh, that's pretty good. I used a grenade pistol for the first time recently. It's pretty effective. Like, it doesn't get a lot of ammo, which is a bit of a downer, but it does make Scout Striders just go away, which is quite nice. And it can clear small groups of infantry. I still prefer the Senator just because I love that thing, but learning what weapons can and can't do is crucial to getting the most out of them. The Tenderizer is shit if you're not landing headshots because its clip size is small. It's designed for precision shots. You've got to land those shots in proper places, especially considering bots are fairly durable if you don't hit them in the right places. Like, you blow off limbs or you hit them and it just kind of clanks off them. You need center mass or headshots to actually put them down, and you need to be able to do that with the Tenderizer if you want to use the Tenderizer properly. The Liberator, I think, is a little bit more forgiving on this front because it has a higher magazine capacity, but it's basically teaching you how to play that way. When you're fighting bugs, yeah, you can go full auto, but against bots, you really want burst fire. Like, once again, this is all up for debate. If you're like, well, actually, I use like single shot on the Liberator and that works great for me. Cool, fantastic, good. I can totally see that being a thing. But this is what I've noticed from my time playing the game. Personally, burst fire seems to work best. I am a bit sad, right? I'll throw the people who are calling for less nerfs a bone and say, Liberator Penetrator sucks. That gun blows. Now, I do understand it, right? The idea behind the Penetrator is that it's low damage but high armor piercing, which means you can do damage to most things, and you really need to land those weak point shots. But, I just don't enjoy using that gun. It's a shame, because it's like the first, medium armor penetrating primary you get if you're not investing in war bonds, or new war bonds other than Helldivers and Mobilize. I'd say the Penetrator is a gun that is difficult to use properly. I imagine quite effective if you do, but I picked it up, I used it, and I was like, nah, put it straight back down. But it's worth pointing out that, like, I remember, and it speaks really to how we just kind of weren't getting it, but I remember playing with people in the early days and being like, we just haven't unlocked anything that can deal with, like, armored targets yet. But looking back now, I'm like, we totally had things that could deal with armored targets. We had the Precision Strike. You start the game with the Orbital Precision Strike, and it's one of the best stratagems in the game, bar none. That stratagem is incredible. It does insane amounts of damage. A tank will disappear from one Precision Strike if you land it. Now, obviously, Precision Strike is more difficult to land on, say, bugs, because bugs move a lot, because most of their options are melee. They are melee enemies. But if you hit a charger with a Precision Strike, it will probably go down. I can't remember if a Bile Titan will go down from a Precision Strike, but it sure as shit won't fucking like it, and it will probably open a hole in its armor that you can then drill with something that doesn't even have any armor penetration because you don't need it anymore. You blew away its armor. But yeah, Precision Strike is king. That thing is incredible. If you're ever like, I just don't know what my last stratagem should be, Orbital Precision Strike, I'm telling you, fucking rules. So good. Obviously, Orbital Rail Cannon Strike is extremely useful. Its downside being that it only deals with one target, and you're often fighting like 50. But if there's something that absolutely needs to go, a priority target, say a Shredder tank, that'll deal with it. They'll absolutely deal with it. I've gotten inconsistent returns on using it on the impaler bug thingies, the guys who make the tentacles. I actually just can't remember what they're called. But the tentacle bug dudes who put the tentacles out of the ground. Sometimes I've noticed the precision strike deals with them, and sometimes it really doesn't. It's a weird one, but since I learned that their face is completely vulnerable when they're deployed, I don't even use the precision strike on them anymore. I just shoot them. Because you can just shoot them. It is that simple. But if you time it right, yeah, you can deal with a charger, you can wound a Bile Titan, you can deal with practically any bug with a precision strike. And a precision strike doesn't have a particularly long cooldown either. Like, yeah, all cooldowns are agonizingly long, but it's not that bad. The Galling Barrage, for instance, one that I don't think people use very often. Small cooldown. Those shots do go through armor and damage, and I think they also chip away at armor as well. The Galling Barrage is shockingly effective, but it's very much a dice roll. Sometimes it just fucking misses, you know? But earlier today, I used a Gatling Barrage on a tank and it killed it. Like, the tank hadn't taken any damage and the Gatling Barrage destroyed the tank. That in of itself is already quite valuable, considering how quick the cooldown on the Gatling Barrage is. Gas Strike is also fantastic. The cooldown on that is so fucking short, but that will hurt anything. Not necessarily kill it, because, you know, it's not designed to kill, like, tanks and Bile Titans, I don't think. But it'll hurt them, it'll do something, and all their mates, gone. Like, infantry stand no chance against the gas strike. And neither do you. Stay away from the gas. It's a bad time. I remember using the, I was using the heavy machine gun earlier today as well. My god, does that just solve problems? The heavy machine gun is amazing. It tears through so much stuff. I haven't tried it on big targets recently, though. Yeah, because I don't use the heavy machine gun very often. I haven't tried it on like Hulks and tanks and chargers and Bile Titans. I'm not sure how well it works against them. I'm assuming it doesn't punch through their armor and you have to hit weak points, but I don't know. Haven't checked, like I said. But damn effective. Damn good. And a normal machine gun. And you start with the normal machine gun, it occurs to me. The normal machine gun is awesome. That gun rules. It hits so fucking hard. Maybe it all plays better into my personal playstyle where I use light armor a lot of the time, because I reposition a lot. I get behind things, I flank around things, I charge, I run, like back off, run to cover, run to different cover. I move around a lot, and it's why I prefer light armor. And perhaps that's why I get more out of some of these weapons, because I get to those weak points. Because I recognize that shooting a charger in the face doesn't do much. You know, around about the 50th bullet that pinged off of its shell and did no damage to the thing itself made me realize that, wait a minute, that doesn't work. Same with Bile Titans, same with tanks, same with Hulks. I consistently use the autocannon to hit the eye of Hulks, and like, if you get some practice doing that, you can make it happen. And oh my god, the autocannon is incredible. My favorite support weapon in the game, autocannon, no question. That gun rules. So fucking good. Gunships, bye-bye, don't care. This thing is basically anti-air. See you later. Hulks, yeah, I'll shoot you twice in the eye and you'll die. Fantastic. Tanks, hey buddy, distract that tank for me and I'll take care of it, alright? If I don't have a stratagem that can immediately deal with it. Devastators, dead, autocannon. Scout Striders, dead, autocannon. Berserkers, dead, autocannon. Infantry, wouldn't recommend it, it's a waste of ammo, but dead, autocannon. Bugs, dead, autocannon. Hive Commanders, dead, autocannon. You get the idea. Hive Guard, dead, autocannon. Those new commanders, dead, autocannon. Charger, if I could shoot it in the back, sure, but I can't shoot it in the face with that, so that sucks. And Bile Titan, well, I hope someone puts a hole in it or my autocannon ain't doing shit. But the autocannon is so useful everywhere else that I consider it more than worthwhile. It's such a good gun. Absolutely adore it. I think that'll do, ladies and gentlemen. Really, I was just here to just talk about Helldivers because I like it. I like it a lot. It's a really fun game. I enjoy it very much. I'm always looking forward to when they're adding more stuff. Like, each month I hope there's going to be a new war bond, but if there isn't, I'm like, okay, I get it, you know. More time in the oven, I suppose, it's fine. But I'm always hoping for more war bonds. I'm always hoping for more stuff. I want to play with more stuff. I want more armor. I want more drip. I want more missions. I want more enemies. I love it every time a new major order comes out and I'm like, oh boy, what do we got? What do we need to fight now? What do we need to defend? What do we need to do? I don't know. I'm still in, I guess. And that's impressive, because most games I'm not still in by now. Most games, I'm out. I think it comes with being an LPer where, you know, I play something, I finish it, or get as much out of it as I want, and I'm like, alright, I'm done with that, and I'm pretty much never going to look at it again. The Helldivers, I'm still here, which is funny, because I haven't really done much content on it, because, I don't know, y'all didn't seem overly into it, so I was like, it's fine. There are plenty of people out there doing Helldivers content. I don't need to worry about it, right? Let the professionals do it. I'll just sit here and, you know, continue doing my little solo missions in my own time. I can comfortably solo up to difficulty level 6. That is difficult, but I can do it. Well, I'll turn that to you. What do you think of the guns? What are your favorite weapons? What weapons do you like using? Anything Helldivers related do you want to share? Do you solo? If you solo, what's the highest level you can solo? Like, let's get a little bit of competition going there as well. Because I might see if I can bump it up a few levels next time I go on. Yeah, favorite guns? What do you like using? What guns do you hate? What guns do you wish would get a buff? Stratagems. I want a 500-word essay on why Precision Strike, Orbital Precision Strike, is the best stratagem in the game, and I want it on my desk by the time this video goes up. If you're listening to this, it's too late. Please report to your democracy officer and try and do better next time. But yeah, this was purely a topic that's just fun for me, just because it's a game I enjoy talking about. Thank you for indulging me, and thank you so much for listening. Special thanks to our members and patrons: Krylatic, Lady Luna, Zanael, Cuds, Kana Samaria, Poe, Pork Chop Lebrex, Scrubby Doo, Lifesteal, Mega Mr. Z-Man, Unclever Name, Lumen, Crystallite, Summercat, Flanny, Painted Dragoon, Lyle the Hacksire, Lit Potatoes, Proxy, Caminera, Moa, Heartland, Harrick J, Dressos, Lol, Final Legend, Etherbin, Linky, Xeon Cedar, Pimblewards, Majoko, Moon, Alkia, Honey Lawless, Sweet Baby Red, Jess Kitty, Plutonium Pie, Dreamer Ghost, Leper Lullaby, K-Bub, Magic Owl, The Frostbite Monsoon, SCP-106A, Namad, and Kenny800 for supporting me on YouTube and Patreon. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you all so much for listening. Yeah, no, I just like the game a lot. If you're an active player, shit, hit me up. Maybe we can play together sometime. Might be fun. I'm up for it, I suppose. And the, like, I don't know, a small amount of time in my life that I'm free. Except the fact that I might not be free very often, but I'll run a couple rounds with you. Why not? It could be fun. Join the Discord. We'll go on the VC there and we can sort it out and stuff. Could be fun. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. The war for freedom continues even when you're not there. So make sure you get on there and fucking don't let them take Malevelon Creek again. I swear to God, it took so long to take that place. Never again. But whatever happens next time, I hope I see you there. Doodles. Goodbye.